There are times when I've just been hit with so many things, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I just feel like I can't do it. And so I can't do it, not right then. And in those moments, the best thing that I've given myself is a nap, a rest, a break. Taking some time away from the thing that you're feeling like you have to do, but you can't do in that moment. And it can be really frustrating because you're like, you know what, I'm working so hard. Why am I coming up against another hurdle? And this is just a refinement process. It's learning to not skip steps. I know there are times, like especially with my diet, I feel like, well, maybe I can just have a little bit of that dairy. And even when I had the kefir, it was still too much for my system right now. It's even though it's fermented dairy and there's less lactose, for some reason my body is still struggling with it. And so I have to go back a step further. And so now I'm focusing just on hamburger meat and sauerkraut until I can get my digestive enzymes. Oh, and apple cider vinegar. And so I'm going to start with that for a period of time until I get good with that. I'm also making sure I chew my food properly, and I'm slowing my process down, and I'm going back a step. And so some people don't like to go back a step because it already feels like, when you've had to reparent yourself and heal from all this trauma and recognize it and manage it and heal and all that stuff, it feels like I'm 47, so it feels like, my first half of life has been very challenging and traumatic. To now, I just want to get to the good stuff. And so it's important that you don't skip steps just to get to the good stuff, because when you skip a step, you're just going to have to go back again. So you're not actually saving yourself any time. But it is an important part of my process, because you have to learn. It's trial and error. You don't know what you don't know. And then if you don't experience it, you're like, well, I would have never known that. So it is information, kind of like research, and understanding like, okay, I still have to go slower. So for me right now, I'm looking at working out, but I overdid it in the yard because while my arms were okay, my abs were not strong enough to be doing the work that I was doing. And so I've done something, I think it's like a rib subluxation is what it's called. So I have to go get that treated. It means I have to stop my work in the yard because I didn't build my abs. From what I understand, I think I have to work more on my abs to be lifting the things that I'm plan on lifting, which are a bunch of rocks and things and buckets of rocks, and lifting the wheelbarrow full of sod and stuff. And so I want to be able to have those muscles intact, because that's what I'm going to be working in and around my house all throughout, right? So I have to go back, and I can't jump into, I can't go from picking weeds to hauling rocks and like boulders and buckets of rocks, right? I just can't. It's from zero. I know I go 0 to 90. And so there are times when in this process, release that emotion of frustration, because that's impatience. That's you're trying to do something too soon, too fast, without the right tools. And without the right tools means without your body's health and repair system intact and strength. So I have to work on my abs, get that strong. I still have to get better with my stretching, and I have to make sure that if I'm sweating outside in the yard, I'm replacing those electrolytes. And if I feel stiff with my muscles, I'm taking my magnesium at night. I also like potassium because that's also like from what I understand is like the repairing. So magnesium helps to relax your muscles and things, and potassium helps repair. That's my understanding. These are good things for muscle building. And you need those electrolytes because the sodium gets into the water, from what I understand, to get it into your system. And so you don't want to be dehydrated, because it's not just about like, oh, I'm thirsty. It's like, oh, my body needs that water to repair itself. And like the sodium helps travel, I think, take the water to your system, or the sodium to your body. I don't understand. I'm not a doctor. I'm just trying to let you know like what sometimes you need more of a why. So if you're struggling with this, go do your own research. Go look at like the because that's what I've done. I'll go get the information, and I'll be like, okay, this is important, and put a pin in it, but I won't remember all the details around it, and sometimes I lose that. So sometimes that's just it. You know what, if you didn't retain the why, and so you just skipped a step, that's a reason to go back and get, okay, that's why I need this. This is important because, you know what, I can't build this without this. And if I have a lack of sodium and electrolytes, then my muscles take longer to repair. And if I don't have enough magnesium, I'm not getting my sleep. And it's not relaxing my muscles and letting me sleep to repair my muscles, right? So they're all kind of intertwined. So sometimes be kind to yourself, because that's how learning works. Think about this, like even people taking on academic courses and things, like they have to go back and refresh what they learned from the past. And if every time they went back and said, damn, I can't believe I forgot that, and were really harsh on themselves, that would be strange. Okay, so look at yourself and give yourself some grace, some compassion. You've been through way too much. Um, and now it's your time to give to yourself. And so this is what you need to give to yourself: compassion and grace and time to learn. Patience. You didn't have a patient parent. You didn't have a patient person that was kind and said, you know what, slow down. You've got time to learn this. I want you to really take this in. You didn't have that experience. So now you have to provide that for yourself and take the time out and say, you know what? Yeah, I did it again. I went too hard and fast. I did it again. I went too hard and fast. And then look at, why am I going so hard and fast? What am I feeling afraid of? You know, and because that's valid too. Like you're like I said, for me, I'm like, I want what I want. I want my house repaired. I want what I want in my yard. I want things in my life. I want to be able to do what I want. And so that is fast tracking me. But I have to be careful where that can sometimes, those material wants and gains, it's not like they're not attainable or important, but when you're just starting out, it's kind of like expecting a baby who is newly born within a few weeks to jump up and start running. It's just really unrealistic. Sometimes we set goals for ourselves, and if you understood how long it took to heal from these abusive people, that will also help you with your hermit mode and focusing on you while you recover and grow yourself to a more stronger version in yourself. And for me, that's why hermit mode is so important, because you have enough going on. You don't need a bunch of people who want to take your energy, who don't have boundaries, who are messy in their own life and bring that shit into your life. And it's not about bad intentions all the time. It's just they're unsafe. You can see that they're unsafe. You can see that I'm unsafe. And now another thing, if you want to amp this up a little bit more. So another thing I'm learning too. So I'm doing a bunch of things all at once, right? I'm refining each thing: my eating, my exercise, my dogs, and my home. I'm slowly, gradually, like juggling these balls and adding more in. And so sometimes, like with the dogs, like I'll have situations where the dogs are off leash. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop walking my dogs there. And now I've had a situation where I'm coming across owners that have these big ass dogs, and there's like, I think I told it in one of my videos, like this, he was like maybe a teenager, give or take, and he had a pit bull, and he could barely contain this pit bull from across the road. Like this pit bull wanted to be close to my dogs, and it didn't seem friendly. And whether that dog is just understimulated and overexcited, I don't know. I don't need to know. I don't need the information. So what I understood is I felt unsafe in that moment because I had two dogs, one person, right? And I remember thinking, like, you can't handle that dog safely. You shouldn't be walking that dog. And then I had to look back at me. I'm like, I don't feel safe walking these two dogs, and I can't manage my two dogs in these sort of scenarios. So then I had to be like, okay, I want to do this different. I want to walk one dog at a time, because not only is that making them more independent, because they are very codependent, and at some point one of them could, they're older dogs, the one is older than the other, her time will come, and that dog will feel that. And so I would like to be preventative and get them walking independently, so they have independence, but also they have different needs on a walk. And also I'd like to train them so that when we come across other dogs, I can get them less excited and keep them more still, so as to not be a target for those other dogs. And so that's where it's kind of like there's still, I compare it to me, it's like being emotional to the haters, the opportunists, the people who are unhinged. And so there's still an element of us, that me and my dogs, that we have to work on to be calmer. And so I have worked on, my emotionality for other things. And it's not to say like we're the same, because like I'm looking to, how can I make my life better? That person is, a lot of these instances that I've seen with these dogs, I have not seen a change in their behavior. And so I don't know that they're, processing or experiences the same way. A lot of people will just say, well, my dog doesn't like little dogs, so it's not my responsibility. That's not what I'm focused on. What can I do to make my life easier and better? Because I know it puts a burden on me when I walk my dogs, not knowing if I'm going to come into contact with an unleashed dog or a dog that the owner can't handle. So now for me, I do still want to walk my dogs. I don't have a fenced yard quite yet. I'm looking at that, but I don't want to just keep like throwing up Band-Aid solutions with a temporary fence. And so I'm going to use this opportunity to walk my dog singly. So like if something were to happen, I could pick my dog up. And I mean, there's still an element, but you know what? You can't control every single thing in your environment without actually hiding from it. And that's not what I do. So it's what I do in hermit mode in order to regain my strength and build and work on the things that are about me, for me. And then the idea for me is to like put myself back out more and more when I've developed those tools and tips to help me become stronger and less emotionally controllable and reactional to those people. Are always going to be out there. They're out there in high volume. I don't know if this is just for me to learn a lesson or just to recognize like it's very rare to find people who really want to reflect and change and do better. It's in my current environment that I have met. So like I said, this is like maybe I'm needing to pull myself up and out still, right? Like I still have more growing to do. And you can imagine there's some people that could look down on me and be like, wow, her dog's like, they're not trained. I don't want to be around that. You know, so it's not like a better than you and this and that. It's just like becoming better so you can attract better, but also like just live a calmer, more fun, enjoyable lifestyle. So like for me, it's not fun walking my dogs when I feel like I can't train them. It's not even about control. Like I want them to be able to, I want to teach them how to behave in certain circumstances. And when I have two dogs, you know, going off, that's impossible. It's set up for failure. So now I'm reading my environment and saying what makes me feel unsafe still, and that's it. It's like there's still going to be dogs that I can't, like people can't control. They've got these big ass dogs. They never, you know, they should have seen, but like people aren't going to be like, get a dog and then, you know, raise it from a puppy and then all of a sudden it's too big to manage and then hand it back. Like that's not what I'm looking for either, right? So it is what it is, what it is. And so that's where I'm looking at the situation. I'm realizing like this sucks that I have to do this, but at the same time, I'm also looking at the two birds, one stone. By me, this is like motivating me and pressing me to work one-on-one with my dogs, which is gonna help their behavior. And like, so I'm not done training. I'm getting better, but I'm not done. Like I've improved, I can see improvements with my dogs, but I'm not done, right? And so I look at that myself. I've already known that before, but it's just I'm looking at it like this is just something like it's like my home. My home is always, I'm gonna have to improve it. My work, I'm always gonna be looking at tweaking and making it better. My experiences, it's just who I am. That's who I don't know if it's who I've become. I think that's just who I am. And I think there's some people who just maybe aren't that way. I don't know. I have not done that sort of research. I just know the people that I come into contact with and what they show me and what I read from it and what I take from it. And so moving forward, that's what I do. And so sometimes that means taking some steps back. You know, I would like to be able to walk both my dogs and just have one walk, two dogs, because that would save me more time. But I have to take a step back and I have to do one dog at a time. And I never did the training long enough. It didn't stick, right? The information didn't stick. Am I a horrible person? Am I stupid? No. I was doing too much for all the wrong people, so I had to revise that. And then I had to revise and repair the life that stem from those decisions, those choices, that behavior. And now I have to look at the decisions I made, which are, you know, having two dogs that are not trained. I was in my trauma and I was not able to train them. So now I have to address that. I have a house that is, you know, I bought a house that needs repair. It is not, you know, it needs work. And my body needs work. And so it makes sense that this is not just going to happen overnight. You didn't accumulate the pain. I mean, some of the trauma, some of these instances did happen in a second, but it was a buildup. It wasn't like, it was from your childhood. So like, you can't, those are blind spots that you had to learn to see. And so I'm going to do a video on resentment after that if you're struggling, because I think that's part of why some people, the blame and resentment is why you can't get to the lesson and the blessing. So hopefully that's helpful. Really try to give yourself that grace. This is part of that reparenting process. Nobody taught you how to be patient and kind, and no one gave you time to actually learn at your pace how you learn. And let's be honest, a lot of our parents just told us to do stuff. I remember thinking like, I just have to tell my kids to clean the bathroom. I don't know if I showed them like, this is how you actually wipe it. And some people are like, why would you have to do that? Because some people need that. Some people work best on you showing them what are your expectations. And so sometimes when you don't give that example, that clear example of this is what I want you to do, and if your child is already in a highly, you know, distracted state, you could even be that parent who showed them, but then they weren't paying attention because they've got so many other things on the mind, being a child in a, you know, a crazy, chaotic society, home environment, that they might not have picked it up. So you could be a child who has, well, you're not because it's 18 plus, but um, you could be having to learn things about how you live your life, how you do your dishes, how you clean your house. How do you know when to do this? When's too long? Like, I'm still learning how to clean my house properly and do it efficiently, and keep it on a regular schedule and balance my life out, because like I said, I've had to remove certain things in my life to make room for other things, and it means that those things never really had a priority in my life, and nobody took time to really help me learn that. And those things, those basics, those bottom basics, are things you're meant to build off of. And so, like, when you can do those, now you build confidence, and now you add other things on top, and then you add other things on top. But if you missed a brick and you raced forward, your puzzle's going to fall a piece or apart, and you're going to have to, like, rebuild it because you missed something. You rushed through something. You think this isn't important. But when you learn what successful people do, organization is key, and cleaning is part of organization. If you're tripping over shit, like, I've had to learn what makes me feel good. For me, I don't like when my house is a mess. I don't like when there's my grass is uncut in my way. So, like, I have to prioritize those things, and it doesn't seem like important, but for me, having my home together and in order is important, because when I've been in workplaces, that's what also has worked for me as well. Is I can't stand being in a workplace where it's all unorganized and there's no rhyme and reason. And that made me come into my home and really start prioritizing my space and how I use it. And prime realty in your home, you could have things and items and spaces that don't deserve that prime realty. You could have people in your environment that don't deserve that prime realty. And you have to look at, why do I do that? I feel bad because this person didn't actually come out and, like, punch me in the face, but I can tell that they're lying to my face. And that's a disrespect, and that's a delusion. And I don't have the time, due to my overwork and overwhelm and under receiving. It's not my job to explain to that adult, like, how they're showing up and what I need from them at this time. It's just not that deep. Recognize, like, if you can see they're a messy person, there's a lot going on, and you think, I need to help them, this is not the time. If your home is not organized, clean on a regular basis, if your body is not in shape and it's not easy for you to work out and eat right, if you don't have your money in check, with a constant income, and if you're still finding yourself not enough time in the day to take care of things, this is not a time to pick up people along the way. It's just not. That's how I am. That's how I can deal with a hello. I can say, I can do small talk. I can do that. I am not a good friend right now. I am not a good partner right now. I can barely provide for myself. So why would I want to take someone else on and bring them into my mess? Because I still have some mess, right? But I've worked through other things. But you can see when other people haven't even touched on those things, and just because they're nice to your face does not mean they're meant to be right beside you. And so I started learning, like, even sometimes some people can't handle you being friendly to their face, and they take that inch and they turn it into a mile, and then now it's another situation I have to now work through. And so, like, I'm getting better at working through those, and realizing it's just not that deep, and that's not my responsibility. It's not my job. And if they want to be in their delusion, that's not my job to pop that bubble in order to become a target now for them, because they don't like the idea that I crushed their dream of living off me. And so these things are not my responsibility. So I learned through these things, and that's how I process. So hopefully that is helpful. I'm going to be making some shorter videos like this, and then also be probably doing some longer ones, maybe for a story time, updates on what is working, what is not. I like doing things about, like, showing in my garden and stuff like that. So it's just a bunch of stuff about how I've recovered and how I'm growing out of that abusive, traumatic place, and change my patterns and habits to become better, and what that looks like along the way. Because I feel like we don't get enough, like, on the scenes. How did you do that? What did you do? Realistic. I want to hear how you did that. And I just don't see it out there. That doesn't mean it's not out there, but I think we need more of it, and that's where I'm going to focus with my content and my videos. This is very perfectly imperfect. This is me, authentic. I'm going to do a house tour to show you what I'm starting with and what I've went through, and now what I have to recover from and repair. And so, like, these are just things I think can be helpful for people who are struggling for this, so they can see, like there are times where I just couldn't see the other side of things and what that looked like. And so that's what I want to talk about, the process, the transitioning. And I still don't have all the answers, but I have some answers. And I'm hoping those some answers will help you get yourself to your other answers, and like so that we can all elevate together. That's my hope. I don't know. Um, we'll see. We'll see. So hopefully that's helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. There are ways to donate if you're comfortable and capable in the description box. A like and subscribe benefits huge, and same with commenting. I love hearing from you guys. It also helps my channel, so even if you just want to pop in and say hello, that would be awesome. Just it's nice to see that I'm reaching people. That would be nice. Just to see, like, if you find value in what you're hearing here, a comment does help, because then it gets it in the algorithm for other people that could be benefiting from it as well. So all those things are good things and ways to get back, and I will see you in the next one.